Cool. That's the first time we tried that and it actually worked. Welcome everyone to our live stream today. We're really excited for today. We've got the team from Fantom coming on, but first John's going to go through a little bit of the social metrics and some stats. So John, have at it.
Cool. All right. So let's talk Fantom. I am really excited to talk about this. The community loves Fantom is what it looks like today. So lots of activity. It's very exciting. So I want to start with looking at the coin detail page for Fantom on LunarCRUSH.com, which, by the way, is free to sign up for. You can access these metrics whenever you want. So today we see that the volume is up 230% on 1,023 posts. And what that measures is anytime someone says Fantom or anything Fantom-oriented, tickers, that sort of thing, it tracks every single tweet, YouTube post, Reddit, Medium. And we also look at a lot of different news out there, which is a different metric as well. But we see that today there's been 1,023 posts, and this is the kind of stuff that you might have seen on your Twitter feed today, for example. If I zoom out to the last week, we can see that there's been 2,907 mentions, and which you get even more activity, like seeing that, okay, well, today's up a bit. But if I back out all the way to a year, you kind of get a broader story. So think of this as what your feed has looked like if you saw every single Fantom post over the last year. And we're seeing that it's really looking good, up 85.2% to almost 90,000 mentions, which is great. And we're going from, at a low, if I went way back a year ago, there were 63 mentions, and today there is 1,011. And if I look at the high here, on September 17th, there was 1,358. We see volume increasing on the trading side. And we also look at engagement, and engagement's also been moving up. And so where volume measures the number of mentions, engagement looks at the deeper engagement beneath it. So out of every post, what do the comments look like? What do the retweets look like? What do the upvotes on Reddit look like? And so we look at all that stuff, and that really helps measure an engaged community. And it's really hard to game that. It's really easy to just start posting a lot. It's really tough to drive that consistent engagement, and we see that it's consistently moving up. But the thing that we're maybe the most impressed with here is that the individuals in the community are growing. And so, in fact, when I look today, we're at a high. We're measuring 876 unique individual users posting today, which is awesome. So this is a growing project. This is really exciting, and it's evident by like the posts that we've seen Fantom do, even us promoting this live stream. Really a lot of engagement. When we look at this, relatively speaking, just to give some relative perspective with where we're at, we look at Fantom, $70-ish million market cap versus a $42 billion market cap for Ethereum. Let's just look at a few of these just comparative metrics to understand the size of Fantom. So we're seeing, over the last year, we're seeing about 80,000 tweets versus 5.5 million for Ethereum. When we look at the engagement, we got 101 million engagements versus 18.6 billion engagements. It's a lot of engagement. So just to understand with where we're at and understand the opportunity that lies ahead to grow from here, because it's all about however large the community is, what can we keep growing into? So a lot of opportunity with Fantom. So who has been the most loyal influencers? So we look at influencers, and really that's measured by these three factors. There's engagement, activity, and popularity. So how engaging are the posts that someone does? How often are they posting? And has their popularity, their following increased as a result? And let's look at those over time. So whereas someone might be influential on one day, they may not be on a 1 year, because this is all a relative comparison across all of the community. And so when we look at over the last year, Fantom Foundation, number one, we've got Trady Slim. We see him posting a lot. Crypto Wizard, Hayes 5178, Income Sharks, Johnny Woo, Crypto Boss 1984, Crypto Michael, the Wolf of Wall Street, Scott Melker, Crypto Newton, and I'll ignore us because that would be unfair, and Crypto God John. So with that, I'd like to maybe hand back over and bring the Fantom team in, and let's chat about Fantom.
All right. Without any further ado, what is up, my guys? How are ya?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you guys for inviting us. It's great.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Cool. Yeah, no, I don't know if I've seen a live stream that we've done thus far where we've had so many people in the chat on YouTube in here. I was in here earlier today and I was like trying to answer some questions, but people are pretty excited about this. So thanks for doing this. I know you guys are in time zones all across the world. So we'd like to kind of start off with, maybe Simone, we can start out with you. Where are you in the world and what's it like there?
Sure. I'm in New York right now, and it's good. It's winter basically. We skipped from summer to winter right away, but it's all good. It's good and fun. It's nice to be here, so I can't complain at all.
Very cool. And Michael?
Yeah, so I've grown up and I live in Sydney, Australia, and it's been pretty good here. We haven't had many coronavirus cases that really kept it under control. So we've been able to mostly freely move around and stuff within the States. So yeah, it's been pretty good here in Sydney, and it's nice and sunny today, and has been pretty good weather lately. So yeah, I'm pretty happy being here for the time being.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of jealous of the way you guys have handled some of that stuff. I almost wish I was stuck down there. But I know they allowed a year in Australia and then they kick you out. But Michael, we'll keep it with you. Tell us a little bit about your journey and, how did we get to Fantom and, how it's kind of been. But yeah, tell us a little bit about your crypto journey.
Yeah, so I grew up in Sydney, went to school in Sydney, and also studied at the University of Sydney, a finance and computer science degree. And when I was studying at university, I actually joined blockchain research team, specifically researching how to develop software to identify smart contract bugs by analyzing virtual machine instruction codes for the Ethereum virtual machine. So we built some software such as decompiler and other sort of software to basically identify patterns in smart contracts. So all sorts of different vulnerabilities, like the vulnerability that the DAO experienced before a few years ago, about 4 years ago, and other such vulnerabilities and patterns in the code. So that was
John and I both lost money on that one.
Oh,
yep.
Really? Oh, yeah. So I don't know if people remember. Yeah, it was the first I guess big project in Ethereum, and it didn't go so well in the end.
Right.
But yeah, so we did a lot of research in that area and published a few papers on it, which was great. And then I ended up starting a cryptocurrency hedge fund in Australia, one of the first in Australia, with a few much older people who were very experienced and very well known in finance and Wall Street in the UK and also in Australia. They used to run the global markets division at ANZ. Their names was Steve Blotty and Bob Tucker. And then we started that hedge fund towards the end of 2017. And in early 2018, we managed to get in contact with a few individuals in Korea who wanted to create their own consensus engine. And it was kind of an interesting project because it had a very strong background and a lot of connections over there. So we joined that project to advise on them for the ICO and in terms of the technology and the capital raising and the legals and all that sort of stuff. And it turned out that the raise was very, very successful because the project managed to raise around $40 million US by mid 2018. And we're initially supposed to be advisors after the ICO, but then we managed to get involved a lot more than we initially thought. And myself personally as well, I used to work mainly on the technology side, and then I became someone who was a lot more involved both on the technology but also administrative side. And so now I'm hoping to run the project as the CEO along with the rest of the team members, including Simone that we have on board. And so that's basically how we kind of got started, and really keen to talk about the stuff that we're working on at the moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you said $40 million in mid 2018. That was kind of bear market time, right? There was not a lot. That was kind of when we were in the middle of building and everyone was building. I mean, how did you guys, and before we kind of pop over to Simone, I mean, what was some of the tactics and what were you guys doing to kind of to push that? I mean, how did they kind of launch that?
Yeah, so most of the raising happened earlier in 2018. So I guess like early to mid 2018 was kind of like the last of the so-called ICO boom. So you know, there was still like a lot of traction there for a whole bunch of projects, including our project. So you know, what we did was, you know, we kind of just, you know, just got out there and just talked about the project, and you know, managed to get a lot of interest. And I think once you start to get interest, particularly from, you know, a few individuals and funds, it kind of drives a lot of traction. So it's a bit of a snowball effect. So it actually happened like pretty quickly. But I would say that, you know, we kind of launched towards the end of the, you know, 17, 18, early 18 ICO boom.
Very cool. Thank you for that. And then Simone, tell us a little bit about your crypto journey.
Nice. Yeah. So it actually goes back quite a bit. It goes back to 2013 when this coworker of mine introduces me to Bitcoin, but it explains it to me in an extremely bad way, and I couldn't understand what it was. But after a couple of months, it comes back to me. It's like, hey, this thing is going up in price, so buy it. So I ended up buying it. Of course, I bought the top. And yeah, so there was my initiation to crypto, right? And the funny story is that this guy actually at some point he paid me back a sandwich at work in Bitcoin that then in 2017 was worth like $1,000 or something like that. so that was funny. Anyway, then I came back in 2017 because I was kind of by mistake, but then that's when I really fell down the proverbial rabbit hole, right? And so yeah, that's when I started building my own network. I started getting in contact with people that actually I'm in contact right now, such as Michael Chen that works with us at Fantom, is the CMO. And specifically regarding Fantom, I was initially a community member. So it's great because I have both perspective. I can see and understand what the community thinks and wants to see and all that kind of stuff, but I also have the foundation side. So my job sort of is to kind of make those two entities communicate in the best way possible. And back in 2019, so a year and a half ago, when I was still a community member, I organized a super nice meetup here in New York with Fantom and a couple of other projects. IO and Holochain. It was very successful. But the best part of that is that I got to meet Andre Cronier, which is our technical advisor. He worked a lot on the consensus side of Fantom, and is seriously one of probably the smartest person I've ever met. I can't keep up with him when we speak. So there was a wonderful experience, and I would say that after talking to him, that's when I really started thinking about that I could work in blockchain full time. Because back then, a little bit of background about myself, I've been working in advertising for the past 15 years, I would say. Before that, I was doing IT, so I have a little bit of networking background. Of course, nothing compared to what we're doing right now, but you know, it's nice to have. And yeah, so I was still in my advertising career, and then at the end of last year, I decided to jump full time in blockchain, and I joined the Fantom team, and it's been wonderful so far.
Awesome. Super exciting. And yeah, it's, you know, crypto full time, you know, we talk to a lot of people, and, you know, even a lot of people outside of crypto talk about people who are experts in the industry, and the industry is only 10 years old, right? So even if you're in the industry for 3 years and you're full time in the industry, that's a really long time. And I don't think people really understand how quickly it moves. And, you know, I think we were going to talk a little bit about community later, but it looks like there's a lot of questions in the chat, and some people talking about strongest community here. So you were. I
want to add one point that I forgot at the beginning, and that is that we want everyone to ask as many questions as they can. The last part of this segment will be answering your questions. We plan on giving away a couple LunarCRUSH goodie bags at the end for a couple of the questions that are answered. So feel free to ask whatever it is that you want about Fantom, and we'll go from there. I also want to say the other Pomp. I want to say we have exactly the same background. I got into 2013 Bitcoin from a coworker, and it's funny because it's like, you end up going down this path of, oh, Ethereum, oh, Monero, oh, Litecoin, like you keep going.
Yeah.
I'm curious what drew you all the way from Bitcoin into Fantom? What was that path like for you?
Oof, that's a really, really good question. So of course, when I came back in 2017, it was the beginning of 2017. And again, it was through another friend of mine that I think he mentioned something crypto related, but that's not what he meant to say. So, but there was just a sparkle, like a hint for me to go and start digging. So that's when I started looking more into Ethereum. And then, as you said, I went through all those, right? Ethereum, Litecoin, Monero, and then down. And basically, by the end of 2017, I was following a lot. Also, basically, I was following the money. So I was looking for the best investment opportunities, and I was doing a lot of research. I had my own little private group of friends, and we were looking for cool tech and cool stuff that they could be. They could have some potential, not just a quick flip or something like that. And among these was Fantom, and that's how it went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. No, I love just hearing a little bit about everyone's background and how they got in. And it's interesting to hear you were a community member and now you're part of the team full time. So tell us a little bit about your guys' makeup of the team and how do you kind of get that community rallied and then rallied enough to join you guys? And Michael and Simone, either one of you guys can kind of tackle that.
Yeah, sure. So we're very much a global team nowadays. So we've got developers and business people and marketing people located all around the world. So, here in Sydney is myself and our CTO and a business development manager. We've got people in the UK, in the Netherlands, in the Czech Republic, in a few people in Russia as well, and the US on both the East Coast, such as Simone himself, and on the West Coast as well. And of course, like Andre, our technical advisor in South Africa as well, who's been a tremendous help to the project, by the way. So, we're very much got team members all over the world, and a few also still in Korea too. So, the team member consists of, a whole lot of developers who are mostly full-time, sometimes part-time, a few business development people, particularly, 3 business development people in Kabul, Afghanistan, because we're actually doing a lot of work with the various Afghan governments there and ministries and companies also as well, which I guess we can talk about because I think it's really interesting what's happening over there. And of course, we've got business development people working on different opportunities like in the US, and individuals like Simone and Michael Chen, our CMO, who are really the ones who drive the Twitter engagement, the Discord engagement, and setting up all the AMAs and organizing basically all the community engagement events.
Cool. And I don't think I could just glance over the Kabul, Afghanistan comment, but I do want, for some of the people that are, because we do have a lot of people that aren't as deep into crypto as we are. Can you guys, maybe Michael, you can give us just a quick, or Simone, if you want, just what is kind of like if someone doesn't know what you guys do, what is kind of like the elevator pitch, or what do you say in a couple of sentences to let people know, and I saw on your site, you're talking a lot about Bitcoin and being better and Ethereum and being better and how they need to be iterated on. So I'm interested to hear how you guys talk about the projects for people that don't know.
Yeah. So what we're doing at Fantom is that we're essentially developing a technology platform. So we've created our own consensus engine called Lachesis, which is based on asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance technology, or ABFT. Basically, what it means is that as soon as the transaction enters the network, it will be confirmed by the validator and passed to other nodes to be confirmed as well, as opposed to a synchronous blockchain or probabilistic blockchain such as Bitcoin or Ethereum, where a transaction enters the memory pool and then you got to wait for the next block for your transaction to be included in there. And so for Bitcoin, the block times are on average approximately 10 minutes. For Ethereum, it's somewhere like 15 to 16 seconds. Whereas for our network, because your transaction gets confirmed by has to be confirmed by 2 votes of the network to achieve finality, that can usually be done within like 1 to 3 seconds on average. And when we talk about finality, we really mean like your transaction is 100% confirmed. Whereas for Bitcoin and Ethereum, a transaction that's confirmed by the network usually has to be confirmed by several blocks later down the chain, because it's all based on the whole concept of the longest chain rule, where there's always a chance that another another part of the chain may grow longer than the initial part, and hence based on the longest chain rule, that will be the sequence of transactions. Whereas for our network, that's not the case at all. So you really get true finality or true confirmation after just 1 to 3 seconds. And we have been testing our technology extensively, and we can achieve probably around like a couple of thousand transactions per second that are EVM based transactions, whereas Ethereum can achieve less than 100. So we think that if we develop the technology over time and iterate it, that we can become a very scalable network that will drive down the cost of transaction fees, because that's been a huge problem with Ethereum, because they've got a lot of traction network effects, which is great, but their technology has not been able to keep up with the demand. So our consensus is connected with the mainnet to the Ethereum virtual machine itself, which means that the way that you deploy and run smart contracts on Ethereum is exactly the same way as on our network. It's just that our network will run faster than Ethereum at the moment.
I have a question, because we hear this narrative a lot of like Ethereum's too slow to work, Ethereum's not going to scale. We've been hearing this for years, right? And this is pre-DeFi. We've been hearing this. Yeah. What do you think happens? What do you think happens? I mean, where is this headed? Because it seems to me like, especially with gas fees and things like that, we can't keep just ignoring and say everything's fine. What do you think happens from here? I'm not asking you to do a full prediction here, but what happens to Ethereum?
I think Ethereum does have the opportunity to scale with ETH 2.0, with proof of stake, with sharding. I think it's a very, very long journey. But I'm also of the belief that there's not going to be like one chain that is a so-called generalized computing engine or blockchain engine for the entire world, simply because because of the limitations of technology, it just won't be scalable enough. No chain will. Our chain won't. Ethereum won't. No chain will. So I think what will happen is that you'll get a series of different chains, each with their own advantages and disadvantages. That will be able to cater to a lot of demand around the world, and hopefully we're able to interoperate between them as well. And by that I mean you can achieve that via sharding, which is very, very difficult to execute. Basically, where you've got like different parts of the network confirming the transactions and then bringing it all together in one manner. But I think that's the future of scalability for the long term, is sharding. To my knowledge, there's no other way to achieve scalability for millions, if not billions, of users except with sharding. So I think that's where the future is going to be.
Great.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Michael here. And to add to that, we see a lot of tribalism, right? Everyone kind of roots for their favorite project. But the point that we're missing is that, as Michael said, each network will have its own kind of niche use case in a way. So they will basically function as a sort of a load balancer, and they will be able to communicate with each other. And this is the beauty of blockchain that honestly we haven't seen yet, because it's too early. And we're still just now building the base, the infrastructure for that to happen. So to answer your question, both Ethereum and Fantom and all the other, most of the other chains will definitely survive, thrive, and cooperate to do different things.
Yeah, it's both great answers, and I think one of the things that we keep. I mean, we were on a stream yesterday, and we were asked how big is the community? Like, how many people are talking about cryptocurrencies? We're talking. It's a few 100,000. Mm-hmm. It's not tens of millions. It's not hundreds of millions. It's certainly not billions. And so, as you have these, these answers matter when that network of individuals it starts with 1 billion people talking about cryptocurrency, and they're using it, they're buying it, they're building on it, and we're a long ways from it, but it certainly feels like the trajectory is heading there. So good answers there. So.
Absolutely. One more thing, John. Actually, I don't even think that we will get to a point where dozens of millions of people will talk about blockchain. They will just use the technology without knowing that they're using it. Right now, we use the internet. We use and all the stuff that is built on top of the internet. And we don't know the various protocols that the internet is using, but it's working. So I don't think we need to get to the point where hundreds of millions of people know what blockchain is, what the cryptocurrency is. Specifically, if we're talking as a cryptocurrency as money, I think that at some point, cryptocurrency will become digital money as related to as digital money, and then at some point we'll just lose the digital and it will be just money. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't say I completely agree with what Simone is saying as well, because distributed ledger technology or blockchain technology, it's fundamentally a back-end technology. It's not something that's front-end that people can see on the consumer end. So I think what will happen is that we'll have like a whole bunch of applications and products running on distributed ledger technology, interacting with individuals in a peer-to-peer manner, creating efficiencies by minimizing the cost of middleman, and also like increasing security by having the transactions confirmed by many computers rather than just like one centralized computer or a group of centralized computers that can easily be compromised. So I think that's the future long term, where we're running applications just like people do with the current internet, except it will be running more so on distributed ledgers rather than on centralized servers. But people just won't realize that, but they'll see the benefits of it though.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I think we're kind of all waiting for the day, right? Like we're all kind of building out the infrastructure of that, and we always talk about a conference that we went to a couple of years ago where it was maybe 90% developers, and there was like the graphs that we were looking at. I was like, I didn't understand anything that was going on, and John and I were just looking at that as people that were in advertising and marketers, and there was like one lawyer and like one hedge fund manager there, and we were saying, wow, this is just the very tip of the iceberg. And I think we're starting to come out of that, and we're starting to see a little bit more of the design in the space that's needed to bring it forward to this kind of the regular class of people that are going to be utilizing these applications, and like you said, not really understand why it's better, but they know it's better. They know it's cheaper and more simple, and it's kind of happening a little bit now with staking and with yields, and people are wondering, wait, how can they offer that? Like, why is that happening? And I think it's when you look at 5, 6, 7%, that's someone coming out of college right now is saying to themselves, that's what I normally get. Dad, what are you doing over here with these tips or whatever else these bonds you're investing in at 2%? Meanwhile, you're over here staking this. And I think you guys kind of talked about kind of real world data coming to the blockchain. I mean, maybe that kind of is a nice segue to talk a little bit about the partnership with Band Protocol, and maybe you could talk a little bit about why that's important, why not Chainlink, or why not both.
Well, yeah, just to be clear, that we're working both with Band Protocol and Chainlink.
Okay.
But specifically
Thank you for clarifying.
So we're working with multiple teams, including like Band Protocol and Chainlink, and talking about Band, I just want to say the team's been like really, really fantastic. They've always been great communicators with us, very, very friendly individuals. I'm personal friends with a few people who work at Band Protocol, and what we've done with them is that they've deployed their technology, their Oracle technology, on our network, and so that's being used right now to power the Fantom DeFi suite that we're developing, consisting of FMint, being able to collateralize your FTM, being able to wrap your FTM to create an ERC20 representation, just like you have ETH and ETH itself on the Ethereum chain. We've got lending and borrowing protocols coming up with FLend. We've got trading of synthetic swaps coming up with FTrade as well. So they're very much involved in providing price feeds for those technologies, for a variety of different assets across a variety of different exchanges. And we're also working with Chainlink on that as well. So Chainlink has deployed an FTM Oracle for us on the Ethereum network for the FTM ERC20 token, and we're right now working with them, also developing launching their technology for our mainnet as well. So not just for the Fantom Foundation and the Fantom DeFi Suite, but for basically any developers to choose what sort of oracles they want to use for their own applications they want to build in the future. So we're very excited to work with different oracle providers and different teams in the and different projects in the community. We've engaged with a lot of them. We've engaged with a whole bunch of them. You are interested in adding collateral to our chain by wrapping their tokens and creating representations of their tokens on our chain, just like there's WBTC with Bitcoin. So we're very much excited to work with different projects for sure.
Very cool. No, thank you for clarifying. Go ahead, John.
Well, on that note, I mean, you say on your website, DeFi but better, and just wanted to get a bit prepared for this. I downloaded your wallet, your PWA wallet. I'm just gonna say it's sick. It's pretty damn good. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's the thing that I like about it is I feel like it's all there. Like I don't need to be transferring all over the place. And I mean, I know you support MetaMask, but I'm not in 9 places to participate in DeFi, and I'm not going to 4 or 5 different places to deal with staking. I mean, I've dealt with staking on several different coins, and it's like sometimes it's an absolute nightmare. There's no user feedback, and I think you guys put a lot of time, obviously, into the user experience of your wallet. So I commend you for that. But tell us what DeFi but better means, that you market out there.
So DeFi but better. To be honest, it's very simple, right? Because it's exactly an answer to what you just mentioned. On Ethereum, and again, Ethereum is amazing. I thank Ethereum Vitalik every day, because we wouldn't even be talking if it wasn't for Ethereum. And definitely Ethereum has its own space. Nobody's gonna take down Ethereum. That being said, Ethereum is very inefficient for this kind of application, as we've seen, because it's slow, and if you don't want it to be slow, you have to up your gas fees so much that it becomes extremely prohibitive for most of the people. Also, just basic either yield farming or DeFi in general can cost so much money that it's not worth it. It's just not worth using the protocols unless you're putting a lot of money in the protocols, because otherwise the fees just eat your potential profits. So Fantom, for the way it's built, solves all those issues because it's built on this fantastic consensus protocol that allows for extremely fast transactions. As Michael said, transactions are final between 1 and 3 seconds on average, and they're also extremely cheap. So a transaction on Fantom costs a fraction of a cent. So just by that, it's you can see how the whole user experience of the decentralized finance can be better just by improving those 2 small but actually big pain points the user may have. And then the other one that you brought up, it's also another true issue that users have, which is jumping between different protocols, different applications. To do one thing, you have to log in into different things, to different websites with MetaMask. And it's honestly, yes, we probably, the 4 of us, we all do it by now because we're in the space, right, and it's fine. But if you want to keep playing between the 4 of us, it's fine. Let's keep it like this. If you want to open up to the world, as we were talking before, we have to make it a little bit easier. So what we did with the wallet, as you mentioned, we really streamlined the staking experience and as well the whole DeFi. So the DeFi suite is aggregated in the wallet, and as Michael mentioned, we have a minter, so you can wrap your FTM and use it as a collateral to mint FUSD. And then we're going to have soon FLand to borrow and lend your tokens, as well as swap to trade them. So yeah, it's really basically it's looking at what other projects have done so far, and really standing on the shoulders of giants and see where they get, to what point they got, and how we could improve upon that. And we still have
Oh, sorry.
No.
Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. Well, I mean, I'm looking at the wall and I see FMint and I see FLend. Which would I want to put my tokens in? Does one have a higher return than the other?
Well, so it's different things, right? So FMint is used just to wrap your original FTM into WFTM, and you can lock that WFTM as a collateral to mint FUSD. It's similar to Mint. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And for now, that's pretty much what you can do. But because to actually use the FUSD, you need the other two components that are FLand and FSwap that are coming out soon.
I think what I meant really was, like, if I were stake, do I want to stake or do I want to loan my tokens?
Yeah, why not both? Why not both? Because what we're working on as well, being able to collateralize your staked FTM. To be honest, it's a bit complicated because there's a whole bunch of security issues around it. But we think, looking at it, that you'll be able to stake your FTM to help secure the network, to participate in proof of stake, while at the same time being able to collateralize it to generate FUSD or other assets, and then engage on Fantom DeFi that way by lending and borrowing and doing all that sort of stuff that people are pretty familiar with that you can do on Ethereum. So then you get the benefits of staking while also participating in DeFi. So we want people to be able to do both, absolutely, because that's a huge value add for the token holders. Is a huge value add to the community. So we are right now working on developing that. It's a little tricky, but I think we'll get there, because I think we have a team of really, really smart engineers who have strong backgrounds in networking, in smart contracts, in Solidity, and in other technologies. So I think we can get it done. Yeah, but it may be like a month or two away. Not entirely sure. Yeah.
It's very exciting. I mean, it's almost like, like hearing Simone talk earlier. I mean, like Bitcoin back in the day, even all the way through today, Bitcoin's been the gateway drug to this space, and people come in through Bitcoin and then they go elsewhere, and it's flipping upside down. It's going to be, the future probably looks more like DeFi as the gateway, because they get a better return than what the bank's giving them, and that's a really simple thing for people to understand. And so what you guys are doing, tying this all together within your PWA wallet, is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks,
I appreciate those comments. Yeah, because UI UX really is important, because in the end we're developing products and applications on a platform for the end user. So without the end user, everything that we're doing doesn't really matter. So definitely, we try to make the experience as seamless and as easy and as integrated as possible. So there's been a big focus on that, and Simone has definitely played like a really big role in that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I think we can go back just a little bit, and this kind of coincides with the, you guys talked about design, but we're also talking about global adoption. And, this goes with one of the questions John has written down here, which is, Afghanistan and working with governments and working with large entities. I mean, we know as a company working B2B is a long, painstaking process. A lot longer sales cycles, adoption can be slower, but it's picks and shovels and you can get the work done. So just tell us a little bit about what's going on there. Is it because it's such a large unbanked population out there and getting, first-time users on? What's happening and why are you guys working over there?
So one of our team members on the BD side, called Brak Sikandari, he is a Afghan national. He lives in the UK. When he was doing other work for us, he came to us and said, "Hey, my friends and contacts in Afghanistan are saying that they're interested in using the latest technologies to develop systems and software in place that other countries have that they don't necessarily have, but they want to do it with the latest technologies when they launch new software, new products." So he said that he had a bunch of contacts in Kabul in Afghanistan with the Afghan government and other corporations there and individuals there. So we ended up like engaging with them and talking to them, and now we have an office that just recently opened up in Kabul. We've got 3 individuals who are on the ground there who are very well connected, and we've had like several meetings with, many meetings with all the sorts of different ministries and ministers and I guess like the prominent people in the country there, and what they're really looking to do is use the latest technology, including blockchain technology, and they actually do know quite a bit about blockchain technology and about other technologies as well. So, for example, what we're doing with the Ministry of Health and their biggest generic drug distributor in the country, Royal Cell Pharmaceuticals, is that we're certifying 80,000 products, all from like hand sanitizers to foot creams to all sorts of different medications that Afghans use on a daily basis. We're certifying them so you'd be able to track and trace, and both at the consumer and at the production level, these drugs that are imported from India. So there's a huge problem with counterfeit generic medicines in Afghanistan, and that's a big problem because you can't control the quality, it's unregulated, there are many issues associated with it. So what we're trying to use our technology is for supply chain tracking management to basically eliminate or reduce the instances of counterfeit products, so people know exactly the sort of drug that they're getting and where it came from and the whole process to get to them. So we're doing we want to do a variety of projects like that. We're also working on wanting to develop like financial instruments for their country. So for example, they don't have any securities exchange. So a stock exchange or securities exchange, like in the countries that we all live in, we take it for granted that it's always existed. Whereas in Afghanistan, it doesn't actually exist. They don't have any equity markets. They don't have a securities market. They have a debt market, but it's pretty rudimentary as well, to be honest. So what we're doing there is we want to build them, a securities exchange. We want to build them, all sorts of different financial infrastructure that runs on distributed ledger technology, because DLT is definitely a much faster way to achieve settlement, especially between many different parties, which is how these transactions work in terms of settling, the buying and selling of stocks, for example, because they're pretty complicated transactions that involve a lot of parties. So, what they're interested in is not just building and catching up to the rest of the world, but actually leapfrogging ahead of them by using the latest technologies. So, for example, like with securities exchange, one of the big problems that the securities exchange in Australia is having, the biggest one, the Australian Securities Exchange, is that they're trying to implement blockchain technology for the clearing and settlement layer. But the big problem they're having is that they have to integrate with a live system, and the live system has like many billions of dollars traded every single day. And so they have to be very, very cautious and conservative to make sure that, nothing goes wrong with the live systems as they're transitioning to using blockchain technology, because they see the benefits there. It's just very difficult to transition from technology they're using in the 1980s to technology that exists now in 2020. Whereas with Afghanistan, you simply don't have that technical debt because it's so new, because they're building stuff for the first time. So, that gives us the opportunity to basically build using the latest technologies from scratch and not have to worry necessarily about the technical debt. So that's why I think it's a really exciting opportunity in Afghanistan. And also on the politics side, there's like the peace deal going on. It's more stable than it was a few years ago. Hopefully if the country becomes a lot more stable, they can exploit a lot of opportunities, because, in terms of like, minerals extraction, just to give one example, a US Geological Survey was done a few years ago, and they concluded that Afghanistan has over $3 trillion US dollars worth of resources there, which is a tremendous amount of money that hasn't been exploited due to, the wars and the fighting that's ongoing there. So, if we can play a role in, for example, like helping to finance companies to exploit those resources, if the country is able to, achieve a lot more stability, via like a securities exchange, I think there'll be a great value add. So I think there's a huge opportunity in Afghanistan, despite a lot of the, issues that, are ongoing in that country. Yeah.
Wow, lot to unpack there. First, I mean, amazing that you guys are working in that space, and that I think, democratizing lending, number one, is a huge deal, especially for just the everyday people that have access to lending. And I don't think people realize how much opportunity when you buy a house or buy a car, some of these things, I mean, people aren't paying cash for a lot of these things, right? And if it's a cash economy, how do you get ahead, right? And so I think number one, that's a huge deal. And the other one, when you talk about technical debt, I mean, it's also operational and regulatory debt. And I think a good example of that is someone like a Tesla in the US that didn't have the outdated kind of dealership laws that someone like, the big three in the US would have, and they leapfrogged them and went straight to the consumer, and they didn't need marketing, and look at what that did. And so when you kind of have this clean slate, when you're talking about like a sovereign country, with all that backdrop that you just mentioned, I mean, wow, what an opportunity. So the fact that you guys are in there and working on that and seem to have a pretty tight background, that's amazing. So congrats on that success.
Yeah, and the government of Afghanistan is very, very smart, made up of very smart individuals. So they're very much aware of exactly what you mentioned there, which is exactly why they want to leapfrog using the latest technologies, not just blockchain, but a whole bunch of other technologies as well. So they're definitely aware of that 100%. Yeah.
It's funny. This is why, like, there's a huge macro picture to what Michael just was talking about. Like, where, if you're a third world country that has none of this, and then you implement this, do you leapfrog the first world countries? If you take it that far all the way to the top, how far does this go? How far do we go? And when you think of something like your wallet, like if I'm in a third world country with no financial infrastructure whatsoever, I don't know what staking is. I don't get a return on money. I don't have it. And then there's it's 2 buttons in your wallet, and all of a sudden I can earn money, which is potentially more money than I was making in a week. And I just keep stacking it. So I think it's really interesting when you think of the unbanked in the world, and you think of, we're in the United States. We try launching a token in the United States right now, just that. And then you think of lawyers and fees and timing involved. We're not even talking about development. We're just talking about like legal hurdles. So we can't even get a token launched here. So it's like, I'm curious to see what happens in places like Afghanistan and Africa.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Yeah. These are all, there are so many great opportunities in those countries for all the reasons that you guys mentioned. And I was actually in India a couple of years last year for work. I was there for a few months, and if I could be long on a country, I would be long on India and the whole region, just because, as you guys mentioned, they don't have basically it's so much easier to build stuff there because they don't have it. And India specifically, they went directly from a cash society and to now everyone is paying using their phones. So the same can happen in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, and not just for payments, of course, but also for all the stuff that we're working on with Afghanistan, specifically with for counterfeit drugs, but also any other application that you can think of, because basically these people need a solution. We have a solution that is better than what they have right now, and they don't have any issue in implementing that. It's easy.
We should do, Joe, we should do an all-day live stream just tackling this topic, because I think this is a huge one. It's very interesting.
It is. I think when conferences actually come back, this could be a fun one to just have, people kind of talk live about. We did want to take some questions, but I also know that you guys wanted to show some stuff. Do you want to show some stuff and then do questions, or do you want to do some questions and then show some stuff?
Let's show some stuff, because I saw that one of the questions is actually about the stuff that I wanted to show.
Okay. Well, you're taking some T-shirts away from people by doing that,
No, it's something. So people ask us a lot questions, right? When do you guys launch FLAND? When do you guys launch FSwap? When do you guys launch FUniswap? So we cannot say any dates, of course, but we can show the current status of FUni, which is our take on Uniswap. Basically, what we did is forking Uniswap and deploying it on Fantom. So we have the interface of Uniswap that you can connect to with MetaMask. You can add liquidity exactly like on Uniswap, and you can remove liquidity exactly like on Uniswap. And then, of course, you can swap your tokens. So why this is fantastic? Because basically, it's the exact same applications that people are familiar with since a couple of years already now, but it's working on a much more efficient network and infrastructure, which is Fantom. So that's it. It's here. It's working. I don't have any testnet tokens right now to show you how actually it works, but it's exactly how Uniswap works. And we're almost there with this one. So I can only say that we're going to be launching this soon, both as a standalone app on its own website and integrated in the wallet as well. So going back to you, John, if you want to trade on Uniswap based on Fantom, you can just go on your wallet and do it from there.
Will it work with like MetaMask as well?
Yes. Yeah. Just to be clear, of course, the tokens that can be traded, they have to be on Fantom. So they're ERC20 tokens that will have to be deployed on Fantom, but it's the possibility is there. And initially, there will be people will be able to trade Fantom and FUSD. So basically, they don't need to go to a centralized exchange to execute the trades. They can do so by within their wallet or in the standalone app.
Wow, this is cool.
Here's a quick question. Do we pay Fantom fees or Uniswap fees?
Well, that's an extremely good question. And the answer is that they're going to pay Fantom fees. So it's super, super cheap and super fast, of course.
So like Liam says, like a penny.
Nah, it's less than that. It's usually $0.0001, something like that.
Yeah. But basically, it's Uniswap, except just faster.
Yep.
Yeah, and cheaper.
I think you just that's the finish line. You just wrote the marketing like Uniswap, but faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely got better.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Well, that makes it a little bit easier to sort through some of these questions.
Yeah.
But maybe we can go through some of these. And I think, John, we wanted to give away some T-shirts to folks.
Yeah, I have to scroll past. I mean, hey, you always should ask your users what they think. And I'm having a hard time. I got to scroll through all the wow, cool, game changer, bye, woo. Holy shit, this is big. People are happy.
Love you guys.
Yeah, we got to go back here. It's kind of interesting. So when will the Fantom virtual machine be launched and deployed? How does Fantom plan on leveraging its own virtual machine? From Sphinx Beats.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. So we're also developing our own virtual machine, not just virtual machine, but a new compiler and interpreter. It's a joint research project with the programming languages team at the University of Sydney that I was a member with, that I did a lot of my virtual machine research with, and also the Yonsei University Electrical Engineering and Programming Languages group. So they've actually developed already, or they've already integrated the EVM with a new kind of database that improves performance of the order of 5 to 10 times. And they're going to publish a paper on it, and I can't give too many details on it, but there's already significant improvements that we have on the development. In terms of building out the virtual machine more and the other tools that I mentioned, that's probably going to be running about a year or two, to be honest about it, because it's very, very complicated, research and requires a lot of testing to do as well. So it will probably be ready, not anytime soon, but definitely sometime in the future. And it's going to be basically more secure and more efficient and faster than the EVM, because the virtual machine itself will be able to produce proofs to prove that the compiler is working correctly, and the compiler itself can also generate proofs that the smart contract code that's being deployed there will not have particular bugs or vulnerabilities in them. Whereas with Ethereum, the Ethereum virtual machine, to be honest, it works really, really well. it definitely works in production, as we can see, with thousands and tens of thousands of smart contracts supported in Ethereum and elsewhere. But it's a bit rudimentary in that it doesn't do a lot of security checking for you, and the performance isn't necessarily the best. So what we want to do is develop our own virtual machine and sort of middle layer tool chain, so to speak, but also have that completely compatible with Solidity. So from the developer's point of view, they won't have to learn a new language or learn how to use a variety of different tools. They can continue developing their way that they develop, except using a different layer that they compile to and deploy to, as opposed to the EVM layer.
Okay, that's great. Some guy wants to know if they can post their unofficial Simone fan server.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, moving on. Tycho says, can we create our own assets or tokens eventually?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can already do that, in fact, because what you can do is that, we support like a lot of the ERC20 representations that exist on Ethereum on our network, because we're running EVM, we're running smart contracts, we're running Solidity, we're running all of that. So right now you can execute an ERC20 token and deploy it the same way on Ethereum as on Fantom. And so that way, you can create your own assets, and then you can add it to the Uniswap pool. You'll be able to Fantom DeFi. You'll be able to share it around and allow people to engage with the asset on the Fantom network. So you can already do that. In fact, yeah, pretty much the same way that you can do it on Ethereum right now.
Yeah, to add to that, I mean, that's also the beauty of having something like a Uniswap on Fantom, because that allows developers to actually deploy tokens on Fantom, and they can be traded right away on a Uniswap. So and from there they can go explore all the possibility that Fantom gives in terms of performance compared to Ethereum, so that we go back to what we were saying before, which means much faster speed and also very, very low fees, which is for DeFi applications and protocols. It's wonderful.
Yeah, basically all in one place.
Yeah,
that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
We have Raging Calm. I think that's Dalsum from Street Fighter, if I had to guess. Will we see incentivized liquidity pools when Uniswap launches?
Yes, the answer to that is yes, for sure. Yeah, and I don't want to reveal too many details about the nature and structure of the liquidity pools just yet until like the real announcement. But yeah, that will be the case. Yeah.
Cool. Tycho also, another question. I think Tycho asked quite a few. He really wants that LunarCRUSH gear. When can we expect usable dApps on Opera?
Well, we're already going to be launching that, with Uniswap and the other tools as well. So pretty much like very, very soon. Yeah.
Cool. Crypto Crackhead. Crypto Crackhead says, what is the team's focus after the release of DeFi? Will you be focusing on supply chain and partnerships?
Well, we're going to be continuously working on the DeFi stack. So it's not like we launched like FLAN, FTrade, and a few other things, and that's it. We don't do any further development. We're going to continuously be iterating development, but also at the same time, we're already focusing on supply chain management partnerships, on partnerships related to blockchain-based finance and other things as well. So we're simultaneously tackling these sort of areas that we want to be working on. But just to be clear, like we don't want to focus on too many areas at the same time. So we're focusing on very specific areas, which is Fantom DeFi, blockchain-based finance, and supply chain management technology.
Okay. Cryptos Vet C official says, good job, guys. We know Fantom's Opera network is fully compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine, but is it possible to use it with the Cosmos SDK? What other programming languages does Fantom support?
Yeah, really good question. So we have our consensus connected to the Cosmos SDK. We're not running really that network anymore, but definitely we've already done that. So the consensus we developed, what we call Lachesis, it is its own standalone consensus. So you can plug that into a variety of different middleware layers. So what we've done, for example, with the Fantom like Opera mainnet, is that we've connected that to the EVM stack. But you can also connect it to the Cosmos SDK. You can connect it to Cardano's virtual machine. You can connect it to all sorts of different middleware layers because it's its own standalone technology or its own core layer based component. In terms of other programming languages, we would like to support Viper in the future, or the new programming language that Ethereum has just released, or I think announced yesterday. But at the moment, it's really just Solidity, because we chose Solidity deliberately because that's the most popular programming language for smart contracts, and something that a lot of developers are familiar with that develop on Ethereum. They develop in Solidity. Viper is a good language, but it's a bit less popular and doesn't have as much support as Solidity, because Solidity is just older and was there from the beginning. So it's really just Solidity at the moment, but we're looking at others too.
Okay. There's a few that relate to bridges. So will there be, this is from Mega Noob TV, will there be a bridge to go from ETH ERC20 to FTM Opera?
There already exists a bridge, yeah. So you can go to bnbbridge.exchange to do that. You can also use the PWA wallet as well. So that allows you to swap between FTM mainnet token, FTM ERC20 token, and also the FTM BEP2 token, which is a Binance token that's tradable on Binance. So you can already do that, yeah.
I believe maybe the question here is more towards the ERC20 tokens that are on Ethereum, if they will be portable to Opera.
All right, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, but I would say yes, right? We're working on bridges for that as well.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Marius Rukskowski, I'm gonna mess this one up. Rukskowski, can we get 2FA authentication on PWA wallet?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We want to do that for sure, yeah, and that's in the development pipeline. I can't exactly say when at the moment, because to be honest, most of the development right now is on Fantom DeFi and getting that out as soon as possible. But we want to also add additional security measures for sure.
And for security, we're also waiting for Ledger approval for the app, so that will also help a lot. Because once we have Ledger support, then there won't be really much need of a 2FA authentication.
It's its own thing. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question. So in Programming Hub, over 57% of all FTM is staked, delegator or validator. Will using Fantom DeFi change that?
Yeah, good question. Right now, there is an opportunity cost where you stake, you participate in proof of stake as delegator or validator, or if you decide to colorize your FTM instead, generate WFTM and hence like FUSD and other assets. So there is a bit of trade-off at the moment, but as I mentioned previously, we want to make it such that you won't have to choose between the two, that you can do both at the same time, that you can collateralize your staking rewards. So that's something that is absolutely imperative for us, because I think that's a huge value add. And something that other networks haven't necessarily done yet.
This is I got another question here. This one's about NFTs from Kevin. It seems NFTs are a core bit to tie the DeFi capabilities with supply chain benefits. Could you describe more how Fantom will approach the NFT space? This seems to be something we're seeing way more chatter on NFTs over the past 3-4 weeks than we've probably ever seen.
Yeah, so this is another really, really good question. The ERC20, NFT, standard on Ethereum is something that we also have running on network as well, because we're connected to EVM. So what we're doing with NFTs is that we want to create these representations with a bunch of companies and organizations that we're working with for example, like in Afghanistan. So in Afghanistan, some of the discussions are around like, the land rights management, digital certification of, people's identities and other such assets. So we definitely want to create non-fungible token representations of those assets, so people, are able to verify them, are able to trade them around seamlessly. So that's the specific work that we're doing in the NFT space, and it's one of the big value adds that I think we can add, in terms of making things more efficient and reducing corruption and that sort of stuff in Afghanistan and elsewhere as well.
Cool. Okay. I think we're at time here. I mean, there's always more questions. I'm sure.
Just keep popping in.
Do you want?
Right, cool.
Yeah, maybe that's good. Probably for now. So
yeah, I think we're gonna have to pick one winner for a T-shirt, because I don't even know if we've got that many in storage right now. But no,
we're giving too many.
Michael, Simone, you guys, thank you so much for hopping on here. We had a great audience the entire time. Everyone that was listening, thank you for your questions. You guys, thanks for showing a little bit of product. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, we'd love to have you guys back at some point. And whenever there's updates, we'd love to have you guys on. So I really appreciate it. And just tell everyone where they can find you. Is it Twitter? Is it the site? Where do you guys want to direct everyone?
Well, it depends on, for sure Twitter, the website if they want to learn more, and make sure to check often the website, because we update it kind of often with all the latest news and latest things that we do. We also have a blog on the website that they can follow, and we post fairly often there. And then of course our communities on Discord, and the address is chat.fantom.network, and they can access the community on Discord there.
Awesome. Well, Michael, Simone, and John, as always, thank you guys so much. Hang on for just a second. We'll chat backstage. And thank you again to everyone listening, and have a nice day or evening. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah. And thanks, guys, for hosting us.